Welcome back. While agriculture experts tell us that India's rice and wheat are too competitive to be hurt by even zero tariffs on US imports, the scene in industry is getting murkier. Trump has announced 25% tariffs on all foreign cars and auto parts. On the flip side, CNBC US has just reported that on April 2 itself, non-tariff barriers will not be counted while imposing reciprocal tariffs. That's the meaning of Donald Trump's lenient imposition on April 2nd. Now, will all this make the US less demanding on India as it negotiates the bilateral trade agreement? Or will this BTA get overpowered by these random tariff announcements that Donald Trump continues to make? For all these questions, I'm joined by Mr. Ajay Srivastava, head of the think tank Global Trade Research Initiative, and by far, as far as I know, one of the best experts on trade. Mr. Srivastava, thank you very much indeed for your time. I know this must be busy days for you. But first up, these non-tariff barriers are not going to be included. So do you think the BTA, the bilateral trade agreement that's being negotiated, is to that extent likely to be a little clement to us?
I don't want to guess on anything, but for example, so far he has spared India, and we are hit by only two tariffs, one on steel and aluminum. And now I just discovered by listening to you that 25% on autos and auto components. So unlike China and Canada or Mexico, he has not chosen to hit us so far. And we hope for the best for the April 2nd thing.
Okay, well, first, I want a nomenclature clarified. When we say BTA, bilateral trade agreement, is it the same as FTA or is it something less?
Great. Latha, so we have FTAs, PTAs, comprehensive economic partnership agreements, comprehensive economic cooperation agreements, bilateral investment treaties. So these are all same thing, economic policy agreement including. They all indicate to a free trade agreement. These are different nomenclature, but they basically entail giving preferences to the partner countries. Each other partner countries, they entail preferences, tariff preferences, other preferences. So this is an FTA only. BTA is a fancy word like SICA or SIPA they are.
Okay, that's important. Now let me come to what products in India you think will get impacted. Dr. Ramesh Chand tells us that our rice is very competitive, and wheat as well, because it gets MSP protection, is more or less protected. But on industry, auto parts, I don't know, I believe we don't export so much of auto parts. We export truck parts. Which sectors do you think are vulnerable?
So truck parts also cover their auto parts also. And our exports of auto parts are $2.8 billion to the US in the January to December 2024. So US global imports are about $90 billion. We supply just $2.8 billion, and US gets most from Mexico. Now imagine a scenario. He is hitting us with 25%. We're hitting everyone else also with 25%. That means everybody is at the equal disadvantage unless he gives exemption to Mexico or some other big country or a big supplier. So everybody is at equal disadvantage. So I don't think it will hit us hard. And then, auto tariffs, they are part of very tightly enmeshed global value chains. So some of the US car makers, they're assembling cars in US, but they are buying auto components from India. And I don't think it will take a hit. Second,
This is a big relief, sir, that, you're right. If all of us are going to be hit by the same thing, then, we may not necessarily have to suffer. You were going to say something else?
He also hit the passenger cars. So by 25% tariffs. So I say, please go ahead, 25%, hit us with 100%. It doesn't make any difference. Our exports to US, they are declining. They will be less than $10 million this year. So our industry will not even notice any tariff differences. We'll stop exporting to them $10 million. But the real danger is if government takes corrective steps, which means government under pressure from US cuts its own passenger car tariffs. That will be a real calamity. I want to share a small example in 20 seconds. Australia had 25% tariffs on its passenger cars in late 80s. And more than 10 global manufacturers, they are making cars in Australia. Then Australia thought that 45% is too high a tariff. They cut it to 5% in the next 10 years. And every single auto manufacturer disappeared from Australia. Australia today relies on every single imported car in Australia is imported now. No manufacturers. Australia is trying to woo with subsidies that you please come and set up shop again in Australia. Nobody is coming. So we should rely from this. That auto sector is very important. It accounts for third of manufacturing GDP of India. So even though Mr. Trump hits us with high tariffs on passenger cars, we should not try to lower the tariffs beyond a point. Some, of course, from 100 to we can cut by a certain percentage point, but we should never drastically lower it. Because there are no gains on this.
Okay, so but when I spoke to Mr. Bhargava, he said that even if the Tesla car came at zero duty, he says, I can compete. I don't have a problem. The problem will only be if they say that they are excused of countervailing duty, because the auto industry in India pays between 28 and, even 40% GST. So long as that countervailing duty is imposed on the imported car, if it is from America, I don't have a problem. There are some people who worry that if the same thing is applied to BYD, we will have a problem. But if it is from American cars, we won't have a problem. You don't think so?
So Tesla, we are hearing it may be coming from Germany or Thailand. Okay. And we should also know what's the Chinese content in Tesla. It's not an American car. American brand is there like Apple. Apple is a brand. It's manufactured in China or now in India and many other countries. Similarly, Tesla. How much of the Chinese content in battery is there in Tesla? I think tremendous. We need to study that. Okay. And I think I and Mr. Bhargav, listening to you, are on the same page. He's also saying some higher level of tariff should be there. He's using the term CVD. I'm using the term some tariff without telling the details what type of tariff it is.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. I read your note on the FTA itself. You are saying that even after the BTA or FTA is negotiated by India, we will still be at a disadvantage because they will have more interpretation powers?
Yes. So, Latha, the issue is that, in most of the US FTAs and even decisions at the WTO, they have been taken under the fast track authority. So, US Congress, it authorizes the US president to negotiate trade deals. When the deal is done, it is presented to the Congress. Congress can say yes or no, can't modify it. Today, that fast track authority expired in 2021, and US president or negotiating team has no authority to cut tariffs. So, they are seeking other countries to cut tariffs only. So it's a slightly murky area for me. So I say we should deal with the reciprocal tariffs and not give too much energy, not waste too much energy on this FTA or BTA, whatever we call.
Oh, really? Okay, we were pinning our hopes on that. You're saying it's better to have to agree on reciprocal tariffs. But Mr. Srivastava, you said that Indian industry won't even notice. It will be only $10 billion of exports to the US.
$10 million.
10 million?
Passenger car exports to
passenger
US.
Passenger car, I agree. But yes, overall, our exports is 45 billion for FY24, isn't it? I mean, overall Indian exports to the US.
So overall Indian merchandise exports to US last year were, in calendar year 2024, were $82 billion, considering Indian data, $92 billion considering US data. Okay. So it's high. But Latha, point to be noticed is this. About 90% of the industrial goods, all types of US supplying or not supplying, we already allow our FTA partners like Japan, South Korea, ASEAN, zero tariff access to India. Indian industry is well attuned to zero tariff imports on 90% of industrial goods. Everything almost except passenger cars and some more. So my theory is that we should offer those 90% industrial tariff lines to the US. We agree to make tariffs zero from day one, provided you also reciprocate and make your tariff zero from day one. So that will take care of 90% of US exports to India. So all this tariff problem will go except for the agriculture, which accounts for less than 5% of US exports to India.
Okay. No, agriculture, it's apparently only corn and soya bean where we could be very badly hurt, according to some experts. But, sir, I want to come back again to the industries that may be hurt. We were told that apparel and jewelry can be hurt. Is that right?
So, apparel, all the developed countries, including US or European Union, very cleverly, they already charge very high tariffs on the apparel. All the labor-intensive goods, apparel, shoes, handicraft, they charge high duties so that they can have some controlling levers on developing countries and LDCs. So they already have high tariffs, and the tariffs are comparable, so we won't be hit. And I was talking to one of my friends in apparel industry. He was saying we will be very happy to go for zero on apparel.
Oh, okay. That's good to hear if that's the case. We will try and invite textile experts as well, or apparel experts as well.
Yes.
Finally, Mr. Srivastava, what you're saying is that as we approach April 2nd, we should not worry much if there are reciprocal tariffs. And the BTA is not that big a deal for us.
Because BTA goes beyond tariffs. US is forced us to talk on intellectual property right, dilute your patent laws, allow access to government procurement. You dilute all your digital laws. For example, RBI mandate is there that financial data should be stored in the country. They will press us on all these issues, which we should avoid right now. Reciprocal tariff, as I say, 95% of US trade, that is industrial goods, we can absorb happily. And before April 2, now it's too late now, we should make an offer. Their team is in Delhi now. We should give a list to them. We are happy, we'll be happy to cut the tariff to zero on industrial products. From day one, you also agreed to do that.
We will broadcast your views as far and wide as we can, and hope that will form part of the arguments or thinking that the Indian team is now underway, that the Indian team is negotiating. Thank you very much, Mr. Srivastava, for your time today. It makes us happy to hear that most of Indian industry won't even notice if the reciprocal tariffs are imposed. What we should beware is that when we negotiate the BTA, we don't allow unnecessary arm twisting by the US. That's the big message from Mr. Srivastava. Thank you very much for joining us. That's it on this edition of Indianomics. Thanks for watching.